The basement incident. I was 17 during my junior year at Archer High. Our school was massive. 3 full floors and even a few repurposed rooms in the basement. Because we had so many electives, they converted a former janitor's section below ground into 2 small classrooms and a bathroom. No windows, no loudspeaker system, and somehow even creepier when the place was empty. We all jokingly called it the vault. It wasn't the worst place though. The AC worked better down there, and teachers in the basement were more chill. That day we had a pop quiz in Earth and Space Science, my 6th period class right after lunch. I breezed through it as usual, finished early, and shot a text to my buddy Ray, whose psychology class was in Vault Room B. I told him to meet me in the bathroom to kill time. He agreed. We joked around in the mirror, whispering nonsense and laughing when Ray suddenly froze. He showed me a text from someone in a different class. Lockdown. Not a drill. We both looked at each other like kids who just got away with sneaking out. Neither of our teachers knew we were in the bathroom, and since there were no announcements in the basement, we figured it was our golden chance to wander around upstairs while everyone else was hiding. Worst case, we played dumb. But when we stepped out of the basement hallway and cracked open the stairwell door, we got a dose of reality. All the lights in the hallway were off, like pitch black. Usually during lockdowns, they kept the lights dimmed but not off. This time, the halls felt abandoned. Ray stepped out further and squinted into the darkness. That's when he whispered, "Yo, who the hell is that?" A man, a tall guy, was walking slowly through the hallway. Not a teacher, definitely not dressed like school staff. He wore a dirty sweatshirt, jeans a few sizes too big, and a beanie that didn't hide his face much. As he got closer, we realized this guy didn't belong here. "We need to go," I muttered. We shut the basement door and quietly sprinted back into the hallway. Our classrooms were locked already, so we noped it straight back to the bathroom and turned off the light. We hid in the very last stall. No windows, no humming heaters or vents, just a flickering drip from the faucet and the sound of my own breath in my ears. Then footsteps. They entered the bathroom. The door creaked shut slowly and the pitch black returned. The footsteps were slow, almost unsure, but then we heard breathing. Heavy, dragged-out breaths. Ray whispered, "We should crawl out. Other side, now." Even though it was barely audible, the footsteps immediately halted. The man must have heard it. A second later, the stall door we were in shuddered as someone tried to push it open. My heart nearly stopped. "Go!" I hissed. We crawled stall to stall, getting further away from him. Behind us, the guy slammed against our stall door hard enough to rattle the metal. We burst out of the far end and sprinted to Ray's classroom. We pounded until Mr. Moore opened the door and dragged us in. Ray shouted that the man had a weapon. We weren't sure, but he claimed to see something shiny in his pocket. A few students were crying. Everyone was huddled together. Another bang hit the classroom door. Then footsteps. The guy stood there, his face pressed against the small glass window, twisting the locked doorknob. He seemed furious. Then finally, after a few more seconds, he gave up and wandered down the hallway, disappearing into the shadows toward the stairs. We didn't move until the lockdown was lifted over an hour later. Cops everywhere. Ray and I described the guy as best we could. One officer gave me a pat on the back, thanked us for keeping quiet. The dude was never caught, not publicly anyway. The school spent thousands upgrading security after that, built proper emergency lighting, and even installed cameras in the basement vault. To this day, I wonder what would have happened if Ray hadn't seen that text in time. I served as a police officer in Mercer County, New Jersey for nearly 2 decades. During that time, I saw a lot. Violent crimes, drug busts, high-speed chases. But nothing ever shook me the way a call I got in the fall of 2012 did. It was early evening on a stormy Thursday. My cruiser had just rolled to a stop outside a gas station when my radio buzzed. Unit 305, respond to a lockdown in progress at West Ridge Middle School. Report of unauthorized entry through the gym area. I turned the car back on and sped down those rain-slicked streets, arriving in under 5 minutes. At the back of the school, parked inches away from the entrance near the boys' locker rooms, was a plain white van. It was running when I got there, but no driver inside. All the doors locked. I approached the rear entrance with caution. By then, dispatch had updated me that someone had seen a man slip in through that door just before it locked behind him. No confirmation if he was armed or not. But the school had triggered all internal lockdown protocols. The hallway inside was dark, not just dim, completely dark. No power to the overhead lights, except for the emergency strips along the fire exits. I unclipped my flashlight and unholstered my sidearm. The place felt off, like abandoned. I could hear a faint hum from the duct system above, but nothing else. No kids, no noise. I made my way toward the gym wing, where the boys' locker room was located. Before I made it there, a staff member and a clerk from the front office quietly slipped out and directed me to check the visitor locker room first. She said a student may have been seen in there earlier alone. I radioed for backup again. They told me 2 more officers were en route, but I didn't want to wait. I stepped into the locker room slowly. It was pitch black. My flashlight barely illuminated 3 feet ahead of me. No windows, no open doors, just rows of metal lockers and benches. Then I started hearing noises, very faint. Vague shuffling sounds like metal tapping or a locker gently swinging. I aimed my light in every direction, paranoid that shadows were moving at the edges of the beam. I kept calling out, "Police, if anyone's in here, make yourself known." Silence. Just as I turned the corner near the connected changing area, I heard a metallic slam echo through the room. It was so loud I nearly dropped my flashlight. It had come from the players' locker section, reserved mostly for the football team. I moved cautiously toward it, my gun raised. That's when I heard something that felt like a punch to the gut. A kid screaming for help, pounding from inside a locker. His voice was muffled, terrified. "Help, please!" Bang, bang. I followed the sound quickly and found the locker. It was shaking slightly as the boy kicked against it from the inside. I dropped to his level and asked if he was alone. He said in a trembling voice, "The man, he locked me in here. He had a knife. I think he was going to take me out the back." I froze, my jaw clenched. I told the boy I'd get help and raced outside the same way I came in. The van was gone. No sign of it at all. Regret twisted in my chest. I didn't get the plate number. That mistake haunted me for weeks. I called dispatch, gave them a full description of the van, the suspect, and told them to shut down every nearby exit and gas station. By now, my backup had arrived. We coordinated getting the janitor's key to free the boy. He was terrified, bruised on the arms, with a deep cut that looked like it came from a blade. EMTs arrived shortly after and took him to the hospital. The detectives later told me the man tried to coax the kid into leaving through the back door. But when he resisted and made noise, the guy panicked and shoved him into a locker. A week later, the van was found in the next town over, parked behind a 24-hour laundromat. The man was still inside, sleeping in the back. When they pulled him out, I saw his face on the report. He looked empty, like something inside him had shut off a long time ago. To this day, I think about what would have happened if I waited 5 more minutes for backup. If I'd ignored the sound of that locker door slamming. That boy is alive because I didn't. 2 years ago, I took a solo trip to New Jersey to tour Statefield University, a college I was seriously considering at the time. Since my parents were out of town and my friends had school, I booked the trip entirely on my own. I stayed at a basic but clean place in a Maplewood Inn not far from campus. Nothing fancy, just a safe standard hotel with decent reviews. Day 1 was packed, campus tours, meeting with the admissions department, grabbing food at a local sandwich joint. I got back to the hotel around 8:30 p.m., exhausted but excited. I had a few brochures in hand and kicked off my shoes onto the carpet as soon as I entered room 210. An hour later, I was in my pajamas, lying in bed with the TV quietly playing some late-night comedy. That's when a sharp beeping noise startled me. It came from the corner of the room, where a small device, maybe a speaker or alarm system, was suddenly flashing. A white strobe light. A voice came through the speaker in a calm robotic loop. "Attention guests, please remain in your rooms. A lockdown is in place for your safety." I sat up, confused. Lockdown in a hotel? I'd never heard of that outside of schools or emergencies. I figured maybe it was a false alarm or a weather drill, even though it wasn't stormy outside. The front desk hadn't called or left a note. Still, the light kept flashing. The message repeated every 30 seconds. "Please remain in your rooms." About 20 minutes passed and nothing changed. No call from staff, no knock at the door. I considered calling the front desk for information, but just as I reached for the phone, it rang. Startled, I picked it up. A woman's voice, and soft, smooth, and slightly panicked, spoke on the other end. "Sir, this is the front desk. Please remain calm. I need you to quietly exit your room now." Confused, I asked her what was going on, assuming maybe there was a fire or gas leak. Her next words hit me like ice water poured down my spine. "There is someone inside your room. He's been reported entering room 210 earlier using a bypass keycard. Our security team is on the way." It felt like the air got sucked out of the room. I didn't know whether to believe her, but part of me didn't want to take the risk that she was right. I whispered into the phone, asking her where he was. She just repeated, "Do not look for him. Just leave. Right now." But curiosity and fear got the better of me. I slowly scanned the room. Under the bed, nothing. Bathroom, empty. Then my eyes noticed something strange. The closet door next to the front mirror. It wasn't fully shut. Just barely, slightly cracked open. I couldn't explain why, but a sudden certainty filled my gut. He was in there. And through that small crack, I swear I saw part of a face, pale, eyes fixed forward, not blinking, just watching. That's when the closet door slid entirely shut without a sound. I dropped the phone and bolted for the door, grabbing my wallet and room key on the way out. I didn't even put on shoes. Downstairs, I met with the night clerk, who was trembling herself. They'd been monitoring the hall camera footage when a hotel guest reported a strange man pacing the second floor. The CCTV showed him slipping into my room using what looked like a stolen key card. The front desk called the room when they lost sight of him, and then saw me answering. That's when they realized I was already in the room, and he'd been in there for nearly an hour before I even got back. 10 minutes later, hotel security and local police pulled a man out of my closet in handcuffs. He didn't resist, didn't speak a word, just stared at me with the coldest, flattest eyes I've ever seen, like he knew me, even though we'd never met. Turns out he was a drifter who had been staying in cheap hotels undetected, slipping into rooms, staying quiet, and watching people. What he did in those rooms before or after was unclear. All I know is, if the front desk had waited even 10 more minutes to make the call, I might not have walked out of that room alive.